There's a brutal truth about life that most people never want to face. The world is not fair, and those who accept this early stop living at the mercy of other people's rules. As you watch this, out there is someone with less talent but more recognition, less strength but more power over others. It isn't luck or fate giving them an edge, it's psychology. They know how people's minds work and aren't afraid to use that understanding for real-world results. Most people are trained to believe in a set of rules that everyone should play by. Behave, wait your turn, and respect the process. Those ideas sound noble, but in the real world they're a liability. Every time you try to do things right, someone else is doing what's effective. The sooner you accept that the game is actually tilted, the sooner you can stop being a background character in your own life. Today, that ends. This video isn't about making you cynical. It's about giving you the tools and mindset to stop living as prey in a game built for predators. You don't have to become ruthless or abandon your principles, but you must be willing to play a more sophisticated game. Everything you'll learn is based on raw psychology, centuries-old strategy, and modern social reality. So ask yourself, are you ready to step beyond the limiting beliefs and claim your psychological sovereignty? Embrace a new perspective and prepare for a journey that reveals what's really happening beneath the surface. Because once you see these truths, there's no going back. Fairness is an idea most people grasp like a life raft in rough water. But the harsh truth is, being fair often means being outmaneuvered. The people who rise fastest aren't always the smartest or most deserving. They're the ones who stopped expecting the world to treat them kindly. They take what's available while others wait for approval. Think back on how many times you showed respect to someone who gave you nothing in return. How often have your good deeds been repaid with indifference or worse, opportunism? It isn't because you were unlucky or surrounded by bad people. It's because you expected a fair process in a world obsessed with advantage. Every transaction has a hidden psychological contract, and nice guys usually get the short end. Those with influence recognize this early and adjust their playbook. They break or bend the rules others are terrified to question, rewriting outcomes while compliant people get left behind. There's a reason leaders rarely ask for permission. They know fairness is a mask for those who need control, but real power comes from acting at the right moment. Give yourself permission to set the rules for your interactions. The world isn't rewarding good intentions. It rewards decisive moves and strategic thinking. And those still chasing fairness? They end up wondering why opportunity keeps skipping their place in line. A critical misconception is that the only alternative to being nice is acting mean or callous, but power isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. Decisive people still show kindness, but on purpose, and never because they need approval. True influence comes from understanding what each situation calls for, not from mechanically following polite conventions. Sometimes the most powerful move is mercy. Other times it's ruthless decisiveness. When you control when and how to extend kindness, you flip the script and leave people wondering what you'll do next, instead of predicting your every move. This calculated approach is more humane than it sounds. Instead of spreading yourself thin by pleasing everyone, you reserve your energy for strategic moves. Genuine kindness, when rare and purposeful, is 1,000 times more impactful than empty gestures. People learn to cherish your approval and work for your respect, rather than taking you for granted. Remember, real power is silent, never brash. The dangerous people in any room are those who smile with intention. Actions are chosen, not triggered. They leave deep impressions, not wounds built on impulse. In any contest of influence, those who react emotionally are the easiest to predict and manipulate. While anger and frustration might be valid feelings, showing them tactlessly only gives ammunition to people looking for weakness. The real masters observe their own emotions, then act or don't from a place of absolute control. This is where true ruthlessness is misunderstood. Emotional discipline is the ability to feel every pang of betrayal, jealousy, or rage, without letting it dictate your next step. When someone tries to undermine you or questions your competence, the natural urge is to fight back instantly. But instant reactions are a luxury the powerful cannot afford. Instead, take a breath and observe the situation like a chessboard. What response will actually increase your standing? Sometimes ignoring a provocation is the sharpest blade. Other times, a quiet, factual correction can make your opponent look small. but only after considering the aftermath should you choose. Mastering this discipline is a long process, but every time you hold back a reactive burst and swap it for a calculated move, your psychological dominance strengthens. The moment others realize your emotions can't be played like a piano, you shift the balance of respect in your favor. The desire to be liked is one of the deepest in human nature, but also one of the most limiting. When people view you as safe, they will expose your boundaries, certain you won't retaliate with real consequences. Likability becomes a soft armor, no match for ruthless players intent on winning. Those who build genuine influence realize that respect outweighs popularity. When your presence in the room makes people reconsider their words or actions, you've reached a far greater standard than mere acceptance. It isn't about making enemies, but about inspiring a sense of unpredictability. Machiavelli wrote that it is safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. In practical terms, this isn't tyranny, it's formidability. Your approval has value because it isn't given lightly, and your rejection sends a message. By maintaining clear standards, others adapt their behavior to avoid crossing lines. Every time you let someone disrespect you or use your goodwill, they learn it's acceptable. Every time you correct the situation without drama, you train the world to value your boundaries. Influence is built on clarity, not endless attempts to win affection. Threats without follow-through are the mark of the powerless. People who warn and plead repeatedly without delivering on their promises get ignored. The world learns fast. Loud threats are empty, while rare, forceful responses create permanent memory. Psychological authority is achieved with decisive, sometimes unexpected action. If someone repeatedly disrespects your contributions, you don't nag, you act. Maybe that means publicly calling out the habit or quietly removing privileges. But you do it once, and with enough conviction that repetition becomes unnecessary. Leaders and dominant personalities rarely raise their voices, but their decisions ripple for months or years. That's because decisive acts train everyone around you on the cost of disrespect. They create a narrative. Test this person and there will be consequences. Over time, your reputation becomes a silent wall that few dare to cross. Make your action memorable, not constant. Save energy for the moves that matter, and allow your reputation to multiply the effect. Consistency in response, not frequency, is the engine of respect. Most people work tirelessly to prove their skills or character, hoping the right people notice, but the world isn't organized to reward hidden merit. It reacts to perception and status cues before any evidence arrives. You have the power to shape how others see you. From posture, eye contact, and tone of voice, to the way you narrate your achievements. Each detail is a brushstroke painting your reputation. Those who ignore this, waiting to be discovered for their true nature, stay invisible while their more strategic peers claim the spotlight. There's no shame in managing your image. It's what every social network, public figure, and effective leader does by default. When you show your competence intentionally, subtly link yourself with other powerful figures, or maintain an air of mystery, people fill the blanks with positive assumptions. Guard your reputation as your greatest asset. Decide what stories you want told about you, and provide just enough material to guide the narrative. In a world overloaded with information, your perceived value is often your only chance to make a career, influence, or legacy. Actions create impacts, but stories decide meaning. If you don't tell your story, someone else will, often in a way that damages your interests. The most skilled influencers prepare not just what they'll do, but how those actions will be explained, reframed, or glorified. After a controversial move or hard decision, don't just explain, frame. Was it ruthless, or was it driven by unwavering principles? Was it selfish or strategic for the group? The one who provides a compelling early narrative usually wins both attention and sympathy. Public relations professionals understand this game at the highest level, but it plays out in every human interaction: family, friendship, workplace. Defining the why behind your actions makes people internalize your version of the events. Anticipate potential backlash. Prepare counter-narratives that become the default explanations as soon as someone criticizes or misrepresents you. If you can control perception before opposition appears, you'll always set the ground rules for what's true. Truly sophisticated influence is based less on emotion, more on systems. Rules and boundaries that are enforced naturally, without visible hostility, Create an environment where your authority becomes unquestionable. For example, rather than pleading with unreliable friends to respect your efforts, you simply stop involving them in plans. If someone fails to reciprocate value in a professional environment, you shift energy elsewhere, without lengthy explanations. The less you try to teach a lesson, the sooner others realize what behaviors grant access to your value. By building consistency into your consequences, people start seeing your approval as a limited resource. It's their job to adapt, not your job to police every move. Over time, this approach eliminates drama and frees you from exhausting confrontations. You are no longer the enforcer. You become the architect of your social circle or organization's standards. Systems outlast emotion, and everyone learns the rules even if you never raise your voice. The loudest in the room rarely wield the real power. Instead, the silent strategists quietly observe, gather information, and plot moves with patience. Their unpredictability makes others hesitant to cross or test their limits. Talking endlessly about your own influence or toughness actually weakens your hand. Those who need to announce strength often lack it, while true authorities are known by their results, not their boasts. In both business and personal life, the ones who surprise everyone with a single decisive act leave a mark that outlasts hours of grandstanding. Strategic silence lets your rivals reveal themselves, expose weaknesses, and drop their guard. Meanwhile, you control the timing and nature of your response. Be patient. Let others underestimate you, and remember, power is most effective when it's least expected and least understood. The major shift between being ruled and ruling your life is psychological. Victims wait for justice. Predators create advantage. You don't need to hurt anyone, but you do need to stop believing you're at the mercy of everyone else's decisions. Start by asking, in what situations do you consistently give up power? Is it work, relationships, family? Notice the patterns and recognize where self-sacrifice is no longer helping you. Shifting to a predator mindset isn't about aggressiveness. It's about constantly asking, what can I control in this moment? Predators aren't always aggressive. More often, they're calculated. They watch, plan, then act in ways that benefit their position. By studying how moves affect the game, not just how they feel, predators avoid the exhaustion of endless disappointment. Victimhood is an easy comfort. Sovereignty is hard discipline. Every day you choose to opt out of the psychological game is another day left to someone else's strategy. Not everyone who plays the psychological game is malicious, but many are experts at hiding intent. Manipulators thrive in environments where people assume good intentions or avoid confrontation out of fear of conflict. Learn the warning signs: frequent guilt trips, shifting blame, triangulating others to isolate you, and sudden generosity after exploitative behavior. Recognize that charm can be just as much a weapon as anger. Charismatic manipulators often weaponize affection. Don't make excuses for repeated betrayals or crossed boundaries. Patterns always reveal more than isolated incidents. If someone consistently benefits from your compliance and you rarely feel respected, it's time to question the coincidences. Being able to spot manipulation doesn't mean becoming paranoid, but it does mean defending your interests through informed decisions, not naive trust. The myth that being agreeable is always an asset is among the most deeply embedded social lies. True kindness has its place, but in excess, it signals weakness, ambiguity, and a willingness to be overlooked. Nice guys and girls often find their needs and ambitions sidelined in favor of not rocking the boat. Over time, this leads to resentment, burnout, and invisibility in both personal and professional circles. The irony is, people respect those who command respect, even if they're less overtly nice. Putting your interest first, enforcing your boundaries, and declining requests that drain you does not make you selfish. It makes you self-respecting. Reverse the programming. Assert yourself even if it means enduring discomfort. You'll quickly discover that respect is a stronger form of social currency than approval, and it's the foundation for lasting influence. Life is full of power struggles, and you can't win them all. The skilled tactical mind knows when to resist, when to negotiate, and when to walk away. Picking your battles is the truest form of wisdom. Sometimes a single strategic retreat brings more long-term gain than endless head-to-head conflict. Know your opposition, gauge their motives, and avoid traps that seek to draw out your resources or damage your reputation for little gain. When you decide to engage, ensure your actions are precise and leave little room for ambiguity. Eliminate uncertainty through clear statements, boundaries, or consequences. Be prepared, however, to pivot or even lose a small battle to win a larger campaign. Your reputation, as someone who doesn't rise to every provocation but can strike with precision, will spread quietly, and it will protect you from the chaos of constant, pointless fights. Psychological dominance is not only about your individual strength. Much of your perceived power stems from the company you keep and how others react in your presence. Strategically associate yourself with respected individuals, groups, or causes. When you collaborate with or are seen alongside high-value people, their credibility reflects on you. This accelerates your own status, often bypassing years of solitary self-promotion. Social proof is especially potent in new environments. If respected insiders already trust you, outsiders accept that judgment. Mention past successes subtly and show evidence of results rather than continually boasting. Always align yourself with circles that match your ambitions. Networks make kings and queens. Isolation creates martyrs. Anything that's constantly available loses value, and people unconsciously rank what's rare as more desirable and important. Creating a sense of scarcity in your time, skills, and attention is a proven way to increase your leverage. Don't say yes to every invitation, project, or favor. Be selective and visible about your priorities. Deliberately leave some things open-ended. Allow opportunities to chase you. Let others anticipate and compete for your attention. This scarcity effect works on reputation as well. If your praise is hard to win, its value skyrockets. If your standards are high, others strive to reach them rather than take you for granted. The more you withhold mindfully, the more the world pursues what you have to offer. Being hard to reach is a surprising superpower in a world desperate for attention. While pursuing psychological dominance, it's vital to remember that every power grab comes with risks. Each calculated move might foster respect, but it inevitably creates potential rivals, jealousy, or suspicion. Regularly assess the downstream effects of your actions. Who benefits or loses from your decisions, and how might they respond? No king or queen rules alone for long without smart alliances and careful management of grievances. Humble self-awareness prevents you from becoming too isolated. Engage advisors, stay curious about feedback, and never assume loyalty is automatic. The wise understand that every stronghold needs continuous inspection against hidden weaknesses. This vigilance is not paranoia, it's survival in a competitive arena. The best players of the psychological game outlast others, not simply by winning, but by sustaining their influence through strategic humility. Psychological dominance isn't static. Those who cling to one identity or approach quickly become predictable and are easily outmaneuvered. The strongest personalities are constantly evolving, adapting to the changing landscape. Allow yourself to shift perspectives, adapt new skills, and surprise those who think they've figured you out. Reinvention is not only about survival, but also about retaining intrigue. People are drawn to those who refuse to be defined by their past roles. Studies show that unpredictability itself increases perceived power. When people can't pin you down, they spend more energy trying to impress or accommodate you, creating a subtle but powerful dynamic reversal. Announce changes sparingly. Let actions and results speak louder than dramatic declarations. Over time, your reputation for unpredictability becomes a shield against complacency and betrayal. Attachment to outcomes, identities, or the acceptance of others makes you vulnerable to manipulation. Elite performers, from negotiators to warriors to CEOs, learn how to care deeply without needing constant approval. Emotional detachment empowers you to act in your own interest without spiraling into guilt or conflict avoidance. You observe pain, disappointment, or rejection as data, not as a permanent wound. Practice stepping outside your emotions and witnessing them as though watching another person. Make critical decisions from a place of calm, and let your reactions lag behind your observations. Mastery in this domain doesn't turn you into a robot. It grants you a clinical edge, the ability to remain steady where others crumble. In a storm of uncertainty, emotional detachment is your anchor. The most effective power moves aren't just about immediate wins. They're about reputation, narrative, and systems that last after you're gone. Building legacy means setting examples and patterns others adopt, ensuring your influence compounds over time. Ask, what ideas do I want associated with my name? Which systems can I leave behind so those who follow me don't have to start from scratch? Legacy thinkers operate with the future in mind, even when making small decisions in the present. Mentors, teachers, and cultural icons achieve dominance not only by outmaneuvering their rivals, but by lifting others and instilling values that persist. Think generationally, and let your game be about more than momentary conquest. Building legacy takes patience, humility, and a relentless focus on contribution as much as achievement. By doing so, psychological power becomes cultural rather than simply personal. Now that you understand the hidden architecture behind influence, manipulation, and power, the challenge is yours. Will you keep waiting for permission, or choose to act with the calculated confidence of someone who's awake to reality? This isn't about trampling others or living in a constant state of war. It's about stepping off the conveyor belt of societal expectations and forging your own path, using the dark but vital truths of human psychology. Each principle here is a key. Use them not for destruction, but for self-respect, achievement, and the lift you can give to those around you. Walk forward, decisive, collected, and impossible to ignore. The psychological game is happening whether you join it or not. But once you do, you become the architect, not the victim. You now have the knowledge. Whether you'll put it into practice or remain a bystander, so others outmaneuver you is the last decision you need to make. Choose sovereignty starting now.